Yes, it can.
And, you know, I personally struggle with that because the last thing I want to do is incorrectly fire someone so that, to avoid other things,
Yeah.
that can rear its head. So, you know, she has volunteered to fire someone when she goes to her office, and I'm sitting here saying, gosh, what's going through her mind right now? I mean, it's scary.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah. So I give one session, but it's usually not one session. It's usually multiple sessions because the fear involved. But I'll tell you this, after you've done it one time, it gets easier every single time after that.
and look, I put out the form I have, according to this easy step process, I have 3 people I've done so far.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
am I going to do that? Not today.
Yeah.
I need to read
Yeah.
up on some people.
Yeah, so to answer, the short answer is yes, I definitely help with that. And there's the steps to firing correctly, and then there's also the psychological back end that I really hear you struggling with. Like, there's a lot of issues here. This is hard to do. So yeah, yes to both.
Sabrina, and I'll add to that. I'm a CPA, and so our busiest time of the year is basically January to April. I fired an accountant on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And it is the most freeing thing once you get over the fact that you have to fire somebody. Because what I figured out along the way was I was redoing the majority of what that person was doing. And so it was, instead of paying them to redo, and for me to redo everything they were doing, getting rid of them was the best thing that ever happened.
Thank you for saying that, because that's the most helpful thing for you to hear, is another business owner to say that. It's like ripping the Band-Aid off. It hurts, but it feels so much better after you do it.
Yeah, and I will add, it's not fun firing somebody. Sitting in front of somebody and telling them they no longer are employed is not one of those things you look forward to doing. I still am not happy when I have to do that.
Of course
It's partly, I feel like, a failure on my part.
Yeah.
In some cases it's not.
Some cases not. No. But I agree there is that piece where we have to look at ourselves and say, what was our role in this? And sometimes that's hard to do. Yeah. Yes.
I think one thing that may help you, we talk about and we try to do this all the time, is anytime you counsel that employee, and that's really important, is to document. And the further you go in your documentation, you've got proof, and you've got the backing in your own mind and with your company that this is the right step to take because of this documentation that just follows that employee.
Oh, and I totally agree with you. However, you know, so do you hire someone to do the documentation for you? I mean, who's going to call and check to make sure my crew of 5 guys showed up to work on time every day and say, okay, check mark, you showed up on time. Oh, you didn't. I mean, do I do that or do
I know, because you're busy. You're wearing all these different hats, and that becomes one more thing.
creating more
Yeah.
documentation to validate the positions that are filled right now to determine if these people are the best?
You know, and the documentation is a mixed bag. And this is a way deeper topic than we can get into today. But Louisiana is a right to work state, right? Louisiana is a right to work state. So that means technically you should just be able to fire. And I've had a client who has, in a different state, but also a right to work state, who just fired and got involved in a lawsuit. And, you know, legally, yes, he's in the right position, but that lawsuit is dragging on and on and on, and, you know, the expense involved, and that's what makes people hesitant, you know, to just fire. So, yeah, I can walk you through that, but that's way bigger than what we can get into here today. All right, so I want to keep us moving forward. So let's, I'll take anybody who's filled out an application. I'll go ahead and collect those, just pass them in to the center here. Okay. Any others? Okay. All right. Okay. If I saw some of you starting to write there at the very last minute, make sure you get these in my hands before you leave today, because we want to get you scheduled and not overlook anybody. Okay. So, where are these A players? Where do you find them? Okay, remember I said 10% of the population is A players. So if you live in a community that has, say, a population of about 50,000 people, then you can expect that about 5,000 of your fellow community members are A players. That's good news. 5,000 is a lot. But of those 5,000, some of them are like my two kids. They're not workable age yet. They're not ready to work. So some are kids, some are retired, some are disabled and they can't work. Some of them, like you all in the room, are business owners. They're not out looking for work. And the rest of them are working for someone else. They are employed. So this is why A players are so darn hard to find. Okay? Not impossible, and actually they're very easy to find because A players hang together, right? Say it with me. A players hang together. Your job is to find them and tap into their networks. So I'm going to teach you how to do this. It's really much easier than you think. All right. We all know that the gossip chain in our small towns is highly efficient. Word spreads like wildfire, and we all cringe at the thought of being the source of this week's negative gossip, or if we have one of our employees who's the source of this week's negative gossip, right? Okay, so we want to get the gossip chain working for you in a positive direction. And we want to start positioning your business as an employer of choice for your ideal employees. So the good news here is you guys are not all going to be fighting over the same A players in town. I know you probably already thought, well, now all my fellow business owners in this room, they're all going to be going after the same A players. They might be coming after mine. What am I going to do? Your ideal employee in your business may be very different than your ideal employee in your business and in Misha's business. So that's good. We want to find out why your best employees like working for you. This is step number one. So take your best employees to lunch. Take them to coffee, one-on-one, not a group of them, but one-on-one conversations. And ask, what do you like most about your job with us? What do you really like about working with us? Be honest with me. This gives you clues to the intangible perks that you are offering that you probably don't even know that you're offering. And what do I mean by that? Well, we all complain that we can't pay the wages and provide the benefits that those bigger companies provide. But as small business owners, we are uniquely positioned to meet needs of employees that larger corporations never can, because those larger corporations have HR departments. You know, when you have an HR department, you have policies, and those policies have to be implemented as a blanket for every single employee. You can't make exceptions, because if you make exceptions, you get in trouble. Well, when you're a small business owner, all the time you're doing things to accommodate your employees. I had one client who had an employee who had an ailing grandparent that moved in with the employee, and that employee needed to work a different schedule to be able to be there sometimes to help take care of that ailing grandparent. And so my client worked with him on that and said, look, these are the core hours you have to be in the office, but you can take work home and work from home these other hours. And that was an A-player employee, so that worked out just fine. That was years ago. And my client had forgotten about it, but he took his employee to lunch, and that was the first thing the employee said. Small business owners can do that. You can make those kinds of accommodations, and your employees cannot get that from a larger corporation. So that's one way where you can be uniquely different. Another thing that my clients hear when they ask this question is the opportunities for advancement that you have in a small business. You do not have those same opportunities in a larger metropolitan area when you're working for a larger corporation. When you work in a larger company, how many of you have ever worked in a large corporation? Let's see a show of hands. Okay, tell me if I'm right about this. I've never worked for a large corporation, but I hear that when you work in a large corporation, there's a lot of policies and procedures. You feel like you always have things hanging over your head. You have to mind your P's and Q's very carefully, and your role is very, very narrowly defined. Is that accurate? Okay. And moving up to higher levels of responsibility takes a long time in larger corporations. Small businesses, A players, can move up very quickly in the company because you give them more and more responsibility, and they like that. They enjoy those higher levels of responsibility. So when you have A players, don't ever be afraid to ask them to do more. They love it. They're honored by it. What clubs and community organizations do you belong to? Ask your best employees this. Why would I have you ask your best employees this? Anybody know? A players hang together, so you want to start tapping into their networks. You want to start showing up in their clubs and community organizations. But even better than that, I'm going to teach you a strategy in a minute where you get your employees recruiting for you. And so even if they're not involved in clubs and community organizations, usually they are, but if they're not, I would encourage you to get them involved in organizations and clubs in your community. Why? So they can attract more employees for you. Okay, they broaden their network, which is broadening your pool of potential applicants. Ask them, who are the best people you know? Do not say, who are the best people you know who are looking for work? They don't know anybody who's a great person who's looking for work. Those people are already employed, so just say, who are the best people you know? And ask to be introduced to them and get to know them. Okay. We've talked about A players hang together. We're talking about becoming an employer of choice for your ideal employees. These intangible perks that your best employees tell you about, look for ways to start tooting your horn about these intangible perks that you're offering in your business. Don't be quiet about them. A lot of times small business owners are very humble. We don't like to brag. These things that you're doing for your employees that they're happy about, you need to start publicizing them and look for ways to do them more systematically in your business. Okay, that'll go a long way to attracting more people like your best employees, because we want to clone your best employees. Okay? And if there's some of you in the room who don't have employees yet and you're thinking, well, where do I start if I don't have employees? Well, you're an A player, right? You're here today. That's a sign you're an A player. And you're involved in networks and organizations out in the community. So start talking to those folks and connecting with them to help you start finding employees. All right. I want to give you my bulletproof strategy to attract A players. You're leaving here with a list today of 20 ideas for finding A players. So I invite you to look that over after the meeting today, because that's going to give you lots of creative thoughts there. But this one strategy works hands down. Every single time I've helped a business owner design this in their business, it works. A player surface. So that is to have an employee referral incentive program in your business. Basically, you reward your best employees for sending applicants and people your way, contacts your way. I want to give you a couple of, a lot of times when I talk about have an employee referral incentive program, I'll hear, but we've tried that, it didn't work. Well, don't give up. We just need to customize it a little bit. If it's not working, chances are something was off with the incentives. There wasn't a big enough incentive. It didn't speak to your best employees. There's something that we can tweak to make it work better for you. If you ask your best employees about their lives and you get to know them well, you'll be able to tune into what's important to them and add incentives into your employee referral incentive program that are meaningful to them. And that's one of the things that works really well. So, and you might not have the same incentive for every employee who refers someone to you. So one employee might value a day off in the summer to spend time with their kids. Another employee may like a gym membership. You just kind of play with that and you see what works best. incentivize the behavior that you want. You want your best employees making referrals, so you incentivize that they made the referral. You don't incentivize the actual hire. And this is where a lot of business owners go wrong, is you hold off on the incentive until that person is actually hired in the business. One idea is to do a drawing. So I have one client who said, I'm going to do a raffle for a big screen TV, and we're going to let people have entries. So for every person they refer, they get an entry into the raffle. And if we hire the person they refer, they get 5 entries. So their chances of winning go up even more. But they're incentivizing the actual referral process, okay? And you need to give your employees a description of the ideal employee that you are looking for. This is another area where a lot of incentive programs fall down, is you just say to your employees, I need more people like you. And they go, okay, I don't think I know anyone like me. If you give a real good description and you say, you know, we need to hire for a receptionist, and we're looking for someone who's friendly, who's outgoing, who's great at putting people at ease, who pays attention to the details. Who do you know who comes to mind like that? All of a sudden, faces are popping up in your employees' minds, and then they're going to start putting you in contact with them. Now, one thing that's really cool, this is Chuck's card, Chuck with his immutable laws you saw him earlier. He gives his employees a card like this that they carry with them. And anytime they are out in the community and they experience great service from someone in a restaurant, in a store, they hand them this card that says, you're doing a great job. And they acknowledge that person for doing a great job. Wouldn't that stand out to you if you were just in day-to-day doing your thing that you do and someone came up to you and said, you're doing a great job. I want to give this to you. Okay? And then you read the card and it said, this card could change your life. At Overhead Door Company, we notice people like you. The person giving you this card thinks you could be a good fit for our team. You may not want to change jobs right now, but who knows what the future holds. Just hang on to this card, and when you're seriously thinking of a change, come by and see me. Okay? So his employees are out there networking in the community, handing out these cards. The other thing you can do with this is when your employees go to trade shows, send them with a pocket full of cards to give to people, okay, to start referring your way. I want to, let's see, how are we with time? Okay, perfect. I want to tell you a story about implementing the employee referral incentive program so that you can really get a sense of how all you have to do is to get this little snowball put together and get it to start rolling, and how it builds its momentum and goes on and on, okay? This card is in the book, by the way, so you have it. I know some of you are like, oh, I want that wording. Chuck would be proud. Okay, so let's imagine you have an employee referral incentive program. Your employee, Joe, recommends Tim to work for you. Tim turns out to be a real A player. You hire Tim, and you give Joe a gift certificate to take his wife out to dinner at a fancy restaurant on Valentine's Day. And you did this because you know Joe is a newlywed, so now Joe is thrilled. You've made him look really good in his new wife's eyes. Okay, so you're not only acknowledging him, but now he gets to go home to his wife and say, look, honey, look what I got. We get to go out to eat. 6 months go by, and Tim, the newer employee, is rocking and rolling. He's fully trained, and he is now doing the work of 4 employees that you let go of just because they had been doing enough to get by and they were making a lot of mistakes. So you were able to let them go. And you drop a note in Joe's box telling him how thrilled you are with Tim. And you thank him again for referring Tim to you. So remember, so far, how much is this costing the business owner? Dinner, like $70, $75 at a nice restaurant, $100. Joe reads the note and checks in with Tim. Joe's now very invested in making sure that his buddy Tim is happy with working with you. And plus, Joe likes working with Tim. Do you know why Joe likes working with Tim? Makes Joe look good. He's making Joe's life a lot easier. Joe was having to deal with those 4 warm bodies before and correcting all of their mistakes. Okay, another 6 months go by. Now we're at the 1-year anniversary. Tim's been with you for a year. Plus, with your employee referral incentive program, he's recommended 2 more A players to you, okay, who you've hired. So you're kicking back, you're pleased with yourself that in 1 year's time, you've let your really bad employees go and you've replaced them with 3A players. Your profits have doubled because you've been able to go after 3 times the amount of work that you had before, and you're generating a lot more revenue with fewer employees. Revenue goes up, costs go down. What's in the middle? The profit alligator. Okay? Revenue up, costs are going down. And these new employees are making a lot fewer mistakes. You reflect on all of this and you think, you know what, I want to do something really nice for Joe. He's that little snowball who helped me get things together and we got the momentum going. He helped me with that. All right, so you've noticed that Joe's been looking at travel magazines. There you go. And you ask him about that, and it turns out his anniversary with his wife is coming up, and he wants to take her away somewhere nice for a long weekend. You surprise Joe with a gift certificate to a resort a few hours away for $500. You got it in the off season, so you saved some money. He gets to take his wife on a nice little anniversary trip and surprise her. Joe is feeling really well taken care of by you. How much has this cost you so far? $600. $600! Oh my gosh! How much do we pay recruiters to recruit for our businesses? How much? What's the going rate? Yeah. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So this is $600, okay? Joe's thrilled. He feels really well taken care of you. Joe now sings your praises to everyone he encounters. Tim and his buddies are doing the same because they've all benefited from the Employee Referral Incentive Program. You have a drawer full of great applicants chomping at the bit to come to work for you, and you are getting known as an employer of choice in your community. Just takes getting that little snowball going, okay? Getting that momentum. All right, so we have a few minutes. Take some questions. Yes?
So we have one really good employee that, we kind of asked that question to, and she referred her sister. Now, when you go back, you said we've always shied away from anything like that. But you went back and said that resourcefulness was the one key indicator that you couldn't teach it. You had to get it from your parents. So how do you feel about bringing in one company hiring more people than sort of the same family?
I used to say 8 years ago, avoid that like the plague. But I've been living in Wyoming in a small town of 10,000 people helping business owners with this issue for 8, 10 years now. And every business that I've helped has had family members working in it, either the owner's family or best employees bringing in family members. And here's the thing, if you have a real A player, they will only refer to you people that they feel confident about because they don't want drama. They don't want to create the drama. So handle it with sensitivity, but I would not just say a blanket no. I think that's a strong possibility because there's a family core value in there that you're tapping into that might be a good quality to have for you. Yeah. Other questions? Okay, wow. All right, so just a reminder, you can access my 5 secrets to exceptional employee performance training. That's free. You just text the word potential to the number on the screen. Gary and I have a workshop coming up for you in 2 weeks called 3 Simple Steps to Hiring Your Next Top Performing Employee. So today was the big overview to give you an idea of where this is going. In 2 weeks, you'll have the opportunity for me to do some more specific hand-holding with you. I imagine it'll be a little bit smaller group. And I will take you through taking some of the strategies that we talked about today and designing them so that they fit with your specific business, because every business has a little different culture. And the other thing that we will get into more in that workshop that we didn't get into today is hiring for personality strengths for the positions that you need to fill. A lot of times we put people who are good people in the wrong positions. So I want to help you think through what are the personality strengths that you need to hire for the specific positions that you had. Okay, well, thank you all for coming out today.